If you want a firm takeaway from the Mueller report, it's this: Russia successfully attempted to undermine our presidential election. Again, as the New York Times summed it up tonight, the report lays bare how Mr. Trump was elected with the help of a foreign power, the work of Mark Mazzetti. Mueller may not have been able to prove conspiracy between the campaign and the Kremlin, but, quote, the investigation established that the Russian government perceived it would benefit from a Trump presidency and worked to secure that outcome, and that the campaign expected it would benefit electorally from information stolen and released through Russian efforts. There's a mouthful. Still with us, Jeremy Bash and Frank Figliuzzi. Frank, you got our attention earlier today when you said you had new concerns as of today and tonight about Julian Assange. Explain that.
So the most heavily redacted portion of the report, Brian, involves WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, and the part that's not redacted offers us incredible detail about the degree to which the Russian intelligence services worked with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks to get that hacked material that Russia hacked and get it out to the public with incredible timing, to include, by the way, a release of Hillary's emails 5 hours after the president said, Russia, if you have the emails, I hope you release them. So that's mind-boggling, that degree of coordination. But here's what I'm concerned about. As you know, Julian Assange was dragged out of the Ecuadorian embassy in London. I assume we're going to be moving toward extraditing from the UK Julian Assange, head of WikiLeaks. But to do that in the diplomatic process, you got to promise the UK, hey, we're sticking with this one charge here that we've charged him with. Well, the one charge we've charged Julian Assange with is hacking and helping Chelsea Manning hack into top secret information. It has nothing to do with the campaign or with Russia. And so if we're going to constrain ourselves to that, then we're not going to get ever to the real issues with Julian Assange, which was how much was he in concert, not only with Russia, but perhaps with the campaign. We're never going to get there. And does our Attorney General, is he driving this decision to limit what we're going to do to extradite Assange because perhaps he doesn't want to hear it from Assange? That's my concern tonight.
Jeremy Bash, channeling your service at Pentagon and CIA, as I read this, tell me the degree to which it gives you chills. The president asked Admiral Michael Rogers, the director of the NSA, if he could do anything to rebut news stories on the Russia matter. The admiral's deputy, Richard Leggett, who was present for the call, considered it the most unusual experience of his 40 years in government and prepared a memo describing the call that he and Admiral Rogers signed and put in a safe. Your reaction?
I know both of those professional intelligence officers, and I can only imagine how mortified they were, how horrified they were at the prospect that the president was abusing the time that intelligence agencies are meant to brief the president on threats and challenges facing our country and our world. And he was using that time and the president's authority as commander-in-chief to direct them to basically cover the president's political standing in this investigation. I mean, that's the antithesis of what our intelligence officers are duty-bound to do in our government. And for the president to order them to do that, direct them to do that, is unethical, unpatriotic, and a total abuse of power.
Frank, I got one for you about a former model who turned to a career in PR, which she is successfully pursuing in Los Angeles tonight. At approximately 3 a.m. on election night, Trump campaign press secretary Hope Hicks received a telephone call on her personal cell phone from a person who sounded foreign, but was calling from a number with a D.C. area code. Although Hicks had a hard time understanding the person, she could make out the words Putin call. Hicks told the caller to send her an email. Following morning, an official at the Russian embassy to the United States emailed Hicks from his Gmail address with the subject line, "Message from Putin." Frank, what does that tell you?
Well, if the first person that the campaign's hearing from upon winning the election is Vladimir Putin, that's indicative of some interest because that usually doesn't work that way. And the fact that they're trying to reach Hope Hicks to make that contact is fascinating to me. But in the report today, Brian, we also learn of the myriad contacts between, for example, Don Jr. and Russians, and Don Jr. and WikiLeaks, and him telling and sharing that with the others at the top of the campaign. Hey, I just got an email from WikiLeaks. Hey, I just got this offer from Russia. It's all in there. And then even the report recounting details of Trump saying to people in a car, hey, expect a big release of WikiLeaks material tomorrow. So we see all of that in there. And for the Attorney General to come out and say, yeah, there was no collusion, there's nothing there, is really disingenuous.
Jeremy Bash, you're smiling faintly. Is that just as an alternative to the opposite?
Well, I'm just trying to imagine that scene of the 3 a.m. phone call from Vladimir Putin to Hope Hicks. But look, I think we started this morning, the three of us, at around 9 a.m. Eastern, asking the fundamental question, which is, would the Mueller report show that the president welcomed the Russian interference, that he benefited from it, that he was okay with it? And I think the answer we now know sitting here tonight is that he did welcome it, he benefited from it, and our foreign policy over the last 2 years shows that he has rewarded it.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.